Russia and China have weaponized space. They have done so. They're in the process of doing so, and they explicitly in their national security strategy seek to dominate the United States in space. They are prepared for war, and in my opinion, we are not. So with the flip of a switch, China can track, they can dazzle, they can destroy our assets in space. In 2018, China conducted more space launches than any other country in the world. Why does this matter? I think as leaders, we need to help Americans understand that our entire modern way of life is dependent on space now. Our navigation, our supply chain, our banking, how we communicate. Space Foundation says over $400 billion of our economy is now dependent on space. Yet in the Pentagon, our various components for warfighting in that domain are all over the place. GAO estimated we have over 60 stakeholders involved in this organization in terms of acquisition, oversight, and the Air Force is 11 different parts. I personally believe we are with space where we were in the 1940s with the Air Force, where it had to be split off from the Air Corps for all kinds of reasons that are now obvious. I have introduced legislation that cleans up some past legislation in terms of making it a fully unified command versus the subordinate command. I would encourage my colleagues to support me in that. Bottom line, gentlemen, and I'll go with you, Mr. Secretary, are we prepared? Are you confident that we could win a conflict in space today if we had to do so?
I'm fully confident we could win a conflict in space today.
Are you without the current budget trajectory, for example, if we had to go to a continuing resolution, are you confident that we could win in space in the next 5 to 10 years given Chinese investments?
We just don't need to take that risk. I mean, this is really about, we have a $19 trillion economy that runs on space. That's why a CR would be so painful. We've put a plan in place. The 3 to 5% growth the real growth that we need allows us to even go faster. But it's vital that we get that top line.
Mr. Secretary, have you made a decision on where the new U.S. Space Command will be located? There's reporting in the press that it will be in Colorado and that there's been a nomination.
Yeah, no, there's.
I would submit to you, space is in Florida's DNA, and to strongly consider Florida as you move forward with that decision. Break. Separate topic on counterterrorism, capacity building, soft power. I would just submit to you that, and I'm concerned in hearing testimony across the board from across the services, that I understand where we're going with the National Defense Strategy. I think that's the right thing to do in terms of reinvesting in our technological superiority. However, we cannot do what we did in the 1980s post-Vietnam and flush those lessons, those counterinsurgency, those counterterrorism lessons down the tubes. General Dunford, do you believe ISIS is defeated as a military organization?
ISIS maintains global capability, Congressman, so while they've been cleared of the ground in Syria, in Iraq, it remains a threat.
Do you believe al-Qaeda is defeated?
No, I don't, Congressman.
Do you believe that in your military advice that the Taliban, forget their political will, that they have the military capability to deny al-Qaeda use of Afghanistan, and particularly a military capability that a 300,000-man Afghan army and a coalition of the most powerful Western armies in the world have struggled to do in 18 years, and I've certainly participated in, and I know you have as well. Do you believe the Taliban have that capability if we bought into the fact that they desired to do so?
Yeah, Congressman, I'm not pushing back on your question, but it's hard for me to imagine having a conversation about the Taliban fighting al-Qaeda, given how close they are as organizations right now.
Right. 100% agree. First, we have to get over to we buy. They have the will to deny al-Qaeda Afghanistan as a launching pad into back in the United States. Then we have to look at what's their enforcement mechanism, what's their capability. Gentlemen, just with the time I have remaining, I'm glad that you touched on the fact that if we had to go to a national emergency today from a recruiting standpoint, 75% of young people couldn't serve in the military. That's why I'm pushing for us to go back to national service. That's not a draft. That's national service. as a means to prepare our young people to serve in all types of capacities, and look forward to working with you in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.